Hello, all. Jace here. We're going to go through President Biden's address last night. I realize I'm a little late. I apologize for that, but I wanted to kind of go over it in detail, um, let you guys know my thoughts, and I'm eager to hear yours as well. So let's get right into it.
Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think it's more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that. And I never have.
This isn't a terribly important point, but I do think it's telling that he just now realized that the office of the president is more important than he as a man. That's going to be a common theme, I think, throughout this, is the ego of this man, of course, of most politicians, but of this man also.
I've made it clear that I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division. We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy?
Okay, there is a lot to unpack in that little snippet. So basically, and if you guys didn't know, President Biden is going to let you know. If you were one of the 75-ish million people who voted for Trump last time, and if you plan to vote for him again, you are moving backward. You're choosing hate. You're choosing division. And you do not have honesty, decency, respect, or believe in democracy. Now, the democracy thing he goes into a lot throughout this speech, and we'll go into that more. But I am sick, and this video is going to be a little more animated than my other ones, because I'm getting fed up. I'm getting fed up with being told that I'm looking backward, that I'm full of hate, that I want to divide, that I don't have honesty, decency, respect, because I don't vote for a Democrat. I don't believe in the rule of democracy by placing a vote for someone they disagree with. I'm getting really tired of that. I'm getting tired of being told that I am all of these horrible things, but we want to bring everybody together. We don't want to divide anymore. Let's move on.
In this moment, we can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do that? Does character in public life still matter? I believe I know the answer to these questions because I know you, the American people. And I know this: we are a great nation because we are good people. When you elected me to this office, I promised to always level with you, to tell you the truth. The truth, the sacred cause of this country, is larger than any one of us. And those of us who cherish that cause cherish it so much. A cause of American democracy itself must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition.
So Biden states that he's going to lead this country and this party by leaving. Leading by leaving. You cannot argue with that logic. Second thing is nothing can stand in the way of saving the democracy. So I guess by saving the democracy, they're going to nominate a politician who was not primaried. That's how we save democracy, by not giving the Democrats the opportunity to speak their mind, place their vote, and primary their candidate. Okay.
So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. It's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now. Over the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president. That means I'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy. I'll keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose.
Okay, so he is going to continue to lower costs, grow our economy, and protect our personal freedoms. I didn't know he started lowering costs or growing our economy. My bank account certainly doesn't reflect those efforts, but I'm glad he's going to continue to work on that. And then, of course, protect our right to kill unborn children, because nothing is more important than that. We all know that.
I'll keep calling out hate and extremism. Make it clear there is no place in America for political violence or any violence ever, period. I'm going to keep speaking out to protect our kids from gun violence, our planet from climate crisis that is the existential threat. And I will keep fighting for my cancer moonshot so we can end cancer as we know it, because we can do it. I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform, because this is critical to our democracy. Supreme Court reform.
Okay, this Supreme Court reform I got to talk about really briefly, because I believe he's going to try to do it, and he's probably going to try to do it through executive order. This is the stupidest idea I've ever heard of. Now, I will agree. I think there should be some kind of a term limit on the Supreme Court justices, but it should be 25 years. It should be such a long length of time that the justice would have no realistic plans of running for president later. If they set term limits of 5, 10 years, whatever, for these Supreme Court justices, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. And I don't care, Republican, Democrat, I don't care what they're going to do. These justices that get sworn in are just going to be legislating from the bench so that they can set up their careers after their term ends. It is a horrible idea. It will, and I guarantee it's Republicans or Democrats aren't going to be happy about this. They're going to be equally pissed off at the end of this, because it's going to be the Wild West. The legal system is going to be unrecognizable from what it currently is. This is a terrible idea.
You know, I will keep working to ensure America remains strong and secure and the leader of the free world. I'm the first president in this century to report to the American people that the United States is not at war anywhere in the world.
Technically, he's right. But why we're not in Israel helping our brothers and sisters, I cannot say.
We'll keep rallying a coalition of proud nations to stop Putin from taking over Ukraine and doing more damage. We'll keep NATO stronger, and I'll make it more powerful and more united than any time in all of our history. I'll keep doing the same for our allies in the Pacific. You know, when I came to office, the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States. That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war. We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world.
No one respects us. He's not bringing anybody back. The only person he brought back was the WNBA player, and he gave up a arms dealer to do it. No one respects us. These other leaders are laughing at us. He's not going to gain any ground on any of these initiatives that he just discussed. Ukraine, Putin, he hasn't moved the needle other than giving Ukraine money, which, I mean, it's kept them alive. They're no closer to a ceasefire than they were when they started. He's done nothing but reinforce, embolden Hamas to keep this fight going. No one respects us as a nation. No one fears us. These other countries aren't going to acquiesce to anything we request because they do not fear us. They don't fear sanctions. They don't fear war. There's no carrot for them to chase. They're not worried about it.
You know, we've come so far since my inauguration. On that day, I told you, as I stood in that winter, we stood in a winter of peril and a winter of possibilities. Peril and possibilities. We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in the century, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
Okay, they really got to stop with the COVID stuff. He didn't do anything. All the plans were already in place. For those that wanted it, the vaccine was available. We'd already handed out so much free money. There was none left to hand out. He didn't do anything. He was just there. Science, the medical industry caught up to the virus. The global population couldn't stay out of work any longer. Businesses were shutting down, so they reopened their doors. They didn't do anything. I don't know there wasn't much they could do. It was a once in a generation virus. It was awful. But they didn't do anything. And I'm so tired of this. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. It's estimated 620,000 people died in the Civil War. I don't agree with January 6th. I don't agree with them storming the Capitol. But it's not even close. I'm so tired of that. The only reason they say it is because they wanted to put it on Donald Trump. But it's just a ridiculous analogy. The BLM riots were much more of an attack on our democracy. The occupation of Seattle is a much worse attack on our democracy. But none of those things even come close to the Civil War.
We came together as Americans. We got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today, we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record. Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We're literally rebuilding our entire nation, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities. Manufacturing has come back to America. We're leading the world again in chips and science and innovation. We finally beat Big Pharma after all these years to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors. And I'm going to keep fighting to make sure we lower the cost for everyone, not just seniors. More people have health care today in America than ever before. And I signed one of the most significant laws helping millions of veterans and their families who were exposed to toxic materials. You know, most significant climate law ever in the history of the world. The first major gun safety law in 30 years. Today, the violent crime rate is at a 50-year low. We're also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. I've kept my commitment to appoint the first black woman to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I also kept my commitment to have an administration that looks like America and be a president for all Americans.
Okay, border crossings. I truly hope Harris runs on this as well. What a great job they've done securing our border that they made absolutely no effort to secure. I I don't need to tell you. I don't need to say anything to you guys about that. But I hope they stick with that talking point in November or before, leading up to November. Um, First black Supreme Court justice. Um, an administration that looks like you. Who cares? Who cares what they look like? Why aren't we picking the best people for the job? Maybe our country would be in better shape if we did that. I'm so sick of hearing about, I checked all these boxes. I don't give a crap. I don't care. If Jackson was the best Supreme Court justice pick, great. I don't know why she would have been, but if that's what they believed, great. Pick the best person for the job. We need to get rid of this DEI crap. Find the best person for the job.
That's what I've done. I ran for president 4 years ago because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. An idea stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It's the most powerful idea in the history of the world. That idea is that we hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We've never fully lived up to it, to this sacred idea, but we've never walked away from it either.
Okay, America is an idea. America is not an idea. America is a nation. It is our home, founded upon a constitution, which is a collection of ideas. America is far, far more than an idea. It is our home. It means more to us than a thought. That talking point drives me crazy.
And I do not believe the American people will walk away from it now. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I've made my views known. I would like to thank our great Vice President, Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention going on, whether the founders have given America a monarchy or republic, Franklin's response was, a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. Whether we keep our republic is now in your hands.
Whether we keep our republic is now in our hands. You freaking egomaniac. It always was. It didn't start becoming our responsibility when you decided to leave the race. So tired of the ego of these people. It was always our responsibility. It was always in our hands.
My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter, from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claremont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. We just have to keep faith, keep the faith, and remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
Okay, the rest of it was just platitudes, standard politician stuff. Nothing to really discuss there. So my major takeaways from that speech. Number one, I thought it was very telling that the opening remarks as it pertains to the upcoming election were all about Trump is bad. Don't vote Republican. Here's what a horrible, deplorable, awful human being you will be if you vote Republican. He did take about 6 seconds there, I think, to talk about Kamala Harris. Didn't really say much. The other thing is, if it were me, if I were leaving my job and I had to talk to my company as I was leaving, the one thing I would do is I would talk about what I had done. Here's what I did. Here's what I accomplished. Here's why I can walk away content with the work that I performed. That's what I would do personally. There's nothing there. There's nothing to discuss. He saved the vets a little bit of money. He saved a little bit on prescription drugs. Those are good things. But in 4 years, as the leader of the free world, that's what you were able to pull off. The last thing is, I thought it was very telling that he never actually discussed why he was leaving, why he was dropping out. That's amazing to me. And I hear a lot of Republican pundits saying, it's his health. It's obviously his health. Why isn't he bringing that up? Why aren't we putting the 25th Amendment on him and trying to get him out of there? All of those things. I think this is an unnecessary and non-productive talking point. Everyone knows he left, or he dropped out because it was clearly obvious that he wasn't going to win the election. Everybody knows this, and that's okay. The fact that the Democratic Party had the guts to stand up and say, you are losing, there's no reason to believe you're going to regain the ground you've lost. We are replacing you with someone we believe will win is not a bad thing. As long as it's legal, it's not a bad thing. Now, I think it's ridiculous that they did it without a primary, without giving their voters an opportunity to speak their minds. But the fact that he's leaving for that makes perfect sense to me. I think a lot of people that are talking about it are putting the cart before the horse. He dropped out because he wasn't going to win the election. He lost that support because everyone saw that he was in failing health. The failing is chicken and egg. The failing health wasn't why he dropped out, technically. So I don't think the Democrats are lying necessarily. They just wanted to choose somebody new. They wanted to have a shot to win, and now they do. That makes sense to me. Um, we're going to go into Kamala Harris more. I think my next video is going to be probably about Israel and Harris and Hamas and all of that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, every day is something new. I do want you guys' opinion on on that speech, on what your thoughts are. Do you think it's fair that they were able to just drop him and pick Harris? Um, do you think she's got a shot to win? Who do you think she's going to pick as her running mate? Well, that's a video for another day. Um, but this speech was worse than I thought it would be. I thought he'd be able to make it 11 minutes. He, I mean, physically he could only manage about 5 minutes. That's about as far as he could get, which is just unfortunate. Um, I don't care for him as a human being, like I've said before, but it's sad to see. It's sad to see somebody fade like this. Um, I thought it was very telling that he didn't discuss why he was dropping out. I thought it was telling that he immediately went on the attack to Trump and every Republican instead of building up his party and his new candidate. Um, but we'll see what happens. Um, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like, comment, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. God bless you, and let me know what you think.